Bob Marley, One Love. Director Ronaldo Marcus Green's biopic of the influential reggae artist, released earlier this year, 2024. It stars Kingsley Ben-Adir, who is magnificent in the title role, as is Lashana Lynch as his wife, Rita. In fact, the whole cast plays very well, and combine all this with some great music, and I think many will enjoy this one. But one thing to point out early on, they reproduce those beautiful Jamaican accents so well in this one that at times you can't understand a blooming word. Sometimes when I'm browsing the shelves in a branch of HMV, I decide to take a gamble on a new release. Sometimes these things work out and sometimes they don't, but fortunately this time this one worked out. Bob Marley, One Love. We had a great time in here watching this one last night. It's got some family credibility because Bob Marley's son Ziggy is an active producer on this, judging by the extras. He appears on set quite a lot. Also his daughter Sadella is there, but also listed in the credits as producer is Bob Marley's wife Rita, but she doesn't appear in the extras as far as I could see. Maybe I dropped off for a minute, but I just didn't see her, which was a shame. So maybe a bit more of an honorary title there, I don't know. But anyway, some family credibility, which leads me to suggest they got the character of Bob Marley just right, and Kingsley Ben-Adir is marvellous, as I said, in that role, and with the dreadlocks on, you do think you're looking at and listening to Bob Marley. The music in this, how they reproduce the music, I can't tell you exactly, but the concert sequences, this is listed as Dolby Atmos sound, it's THX51 in here. I think anyone would have thought they were listening to Dolby Atmos because the sound was all over the room. Just marvellous reproduction of the Bob Marley and the Wailers tracks. So really interesting to look at in that regard. Makes you think you're looking at Bob Marley, and I think anyone who's into this sort of music. Wasn't really the biggest thing I was into. I was always aware of Bob Marley. I can remember the news when it was announced that he died, but I think I rather like him a lot more now, and that one album Exodus, which is so highly rated even today, I wouldn't mind checking that one out sometime. Now this film is shot entirely using digital video, so it's got a very filmic look on here. I don't think there's much in the way of faux film grain, but it's just got the look of a film. I can't compare it to the Blu-ray because this only contains the one 4K disc, and indeed the extras are on that 4K disc, so taking up possibly about 7 or 8 gigabytes of the space. It looks to be a dual layer 66 gigabyte disc, so the film is taking up between 55 to 60 gigabytes. Should be enough for an hour and 47-minute movie, of which I hasten to add around 9 to 10 minutes are the end credits, so that suggested to me this was a fairly enormous production, and quite a surprise for something I would have thought was more of a niche market, but it had an estimated budget of $97 million, and it took at the worldwide box office $179 million. Now those extras do show extracts from the movie, and being as they're in HD, I would suggest represent how the Blu-ray would look or will look, and to me immediately I could see oversaturated colours. Now when I've been looking at the 4K in here, I was thinking I would have thought the colours would be a bit richer than this, but having seen the extras, I then took another look at the 4K and I thought, no, the 4K looks good. That is realistic, very film-like, just what I want to see. So it's funny how you can get something in your head, expect something some way, then you see the way you think it should have been and think, oh no, I don't like that. You go back, you look at the original 4K, to me looks very good indeed. I don't think it will be the best definition you've ever seen on a 4K disc, but it's good enough, and it's got great contrast, great density, and it's got the good colour. So altogether, a very nice release. One thing I don't think I've mentioned yet is the aspect ratio, which is 2.40 to 1 approximately. Suits this film very well. Now there's 4 postcards or art cards in here. They're more like thick paper, but a bit flimsy I suppose, but got a very nice feel to them, very glossy, and these are rather nice. So they don't fit in the actual case, so they're just included within the slipcover. And the slipcover does say exclusive O-ring art and art cards. I think the O-ring art is just this slipcover, which is the original poster art, and the art cards are as seen. And as you can see, different artwork on the slipcover and the 4K inlay. So quite a nice package. It is a bit of a lightweight package with just the 4K in there. Now don't be fooled by this postcard here. This was something that my wife found while we were at the Prince Charles Cinema seeing the 70mm presentation 2001: A Space Odyssey, and she picked this one up, and also a very nice artwork of the Prince Charles Cinema itself. Now I do think this is an advert for prints that the Prince Charles Cinema are selling on behalf of the artist who signed each of the prints, and looking at this postcard, that does look very enticing to me, so I might be looking for that the next time I'm at the Prince Charles. But this one was £24.99, so probably £25 in FOP. But I suppose it's quite expensive for something that is a single disc release, but put things in perspective, 30 years ago I was paying £300 for a 2-hour movie, so that was when, well, for the best home cinema format at the time, which was practical, which was Super 8 film. So for something like Alien, 2-hour movie on Super 8, to get the best possible quality in the home, put it on your 10-foot widescreen, that was what you had to pay. That was 1991, I think that came out. So that perhaps puts things in a little sort of different category. £25 maybe isn't as much as it seems, so something to perhaps bear in mind. Things have got far cheaper in real terms for the best possible quality on the home movie market. So I thoroughly enjoyed this film. It was a bit of a surprise, but what I enjoyed most was when the music comes in, particularly the concert sequences and that faux Dolby Atmos sound in here. It was all around us, it was everywhere. You couldn't tell where the sound was coming from. Just beautiful work on the sound. How they reproduce those songs I really don't know, because it looks like some of them were entirely reproduced. Others were Bob Marley, it seems, still singing, and yet the sound was great. So they must have had the original master tapes to go back to. Overall, the story, it doesn't exactly tell you the whole of Bob Marley's life, but I felt that it told us enough. It has some flashbacks to go back to when he was a teenager or a young man and he meets Rita. That filled in some details but told you all you needed to know without going into so much detail that it got emotional and over the top, because apparently Bob Marley was not an openly emotional man. He kept it all to himself, a bit stiff upper lip like many of us used to be some years ago. But it looks to me as though the filmmakers for this, they focused on the events in his life that led up to him coming over to England, where he wrote the Exodus album and some other great tracks. But that one is the one that is apparently the legendary album from Bob Marley and the Wailers, and this is that whole period around then. It ends in 1978 when he's doing his peace concert in Jamaica, and then the end of his life in 1981, that's just covered in captions before the end credits. And in fact you see him as a real man doing some interviews and other things during those end credits, which do go on for about 9-10 minutes. They haven't got Bob Marley all the way through those, just the first minute or two, but 9 minutes for end credits does bring the running time of the movie up. But that's filmmaking today. Sometimes there are so many people working on movies that it's just a very long list. So I think anyone who likes these sort of music biopics or just good stories and some great music is going to get something out of this one. Don't expect the best 4K you've ever seen, but it might be one of the most impressive soundtracks you've ever heard. It's not Dune Part 2 with all that bombastic sound effects, the great sound effects. This one's about the music. I think it works extremely well. A nice surprise, and I feel £25 well spent. Would I have spent that if I didn't have this YouTube channel? No, I think I'd probably have waited, but that's the nature of the beast, isn't it? So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like and perhaps consider subscribing so I'll be encouraged to carry on creating similar content to this in the future. Until the next video, bye bye for now.